What's on? So the diesel heater's arrived. Just had a little look through. Looks really good. This is one of those Chinese ones, so the instructions are a little bit not very good translation, but we'll work our way through them. But the actual quality of the kit looks really quite good. So I'm just going to get it all in the van now and get it all spaced out and see where it fits. The tank is actually quite massive, so I've ordered a smaller tank. That's 10 litres. I've ordered a 5.5 litre tank so that will fit in the gap a bit better. So the actual heater unit is going to go in this side. I've got a nice bit of space there. And the fuel tank and everything is going to go in the other side over there. Fortunately, underneath this side, I'll show you, we've got a load of space up in there. So it's going to be quite easy to drill through and get the exhaust and the air intake in through there and make it look nice and tidy. So that's where she's going to sit, in there like that. That's underneath the level of what the top of the bed is. So that's nice and tidy. This is, I'm pretty sure this is the air intake, but I'll check it. And then that's the exhaust, like where the hot air comes out of. And they give you a pipe, so I'm going to run the pipe up through there and have like the blower coming out the top of this bit of wood, so that it's blowing out into the cab, but from that back corner, or close to it anyway. So then it's further away from the control panel, so it's not blowing straight on the control panel, and then it doesn't think that it's hotter in here than it is, if you get my drift. I've just worked out roughly where the middle of there's a gap between two supports for the bed, and where that mark is there should be in the middle of the two. There's two like supports underneath, so that should come down through a nice easy gap. They give you this plate, which is, it says it's not necessarily required, but can be used. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to have it mounted on two bits of wood like that, and then the heater on top of that, so there's plenty of room underneath. So these can go down through there, and there'll be plenty of room. I thought I'd fixed all the leaks in here, but as you can see, it's a bit wet under there, so I have to try and figure out where they're coming from. I'm pretty sure, well, looks like there's one patch there. I need to get a couple more of these clamps because I'm missing one either side. That's probably not helping matters. Another job to do. That's that bit done. That's the holes drilled. Just going to hammer right round the metal to stop that from rusting. Just whilst I'm waiting for the hammerite to dry, I've fixed these two bits of wood in, and so that can sit up above like that, to give the room for the little stubs in there. And now I'm just going to fix this plate to the heater, and then that can be screwed onto there with the pipes and everything on. I've tested the holes, make sure everything fits, and it does. So happy days. This is where we got to. The heater's fixed in place now, nice and solid, and all the pipe work is now coming down under here. I'm going to sort that out next. That's the exhaust one, that's the intake one, and that's the fuel line. So the fuel line has got to end up over the other side of the truck, and these ones have just got to be fixed underneath but away from each other, so that the air intake isn't taking in exhaust fumes. Well, I've just flicked a bit of paint around just in the places where I won't be able to get to now that the heater's in place. I'll do the rest once I've done a bit more of the electrics, otherwise I'm going to get covered in paint. I just finished the pipe work. There's the holes where they come through. That's the fuel line, and that goes along that chassis rail, zip tied up, and it's going to go through back up into the bed on the other side where the fuel tank's going to be, and the exhaust is up there, which will be above the spare wheel, and the air inlet we've put over here. It's hard to see, bit of light, right, there we are. Hopefully by facing it away from the back wheel it shouldn't get too covered in dirt, but I'll have to keep an eye on it. So on my setup I've managed to be able to run the wires from one side to the other, but they'll go underneath the drawers, so they go through, I'll pin them down so they're out of the way, but they're going to go all the way through and then into this box, which is where the fuel tank and the water tank's going to be. So I decided to move the exhaust because it was up there above the spare wheel, but I figured, thinking about it, if there's any holes in the bed, which there quite possibly could be, if the exhaust gases are trapped underneath, it'd leak into the canopy and not very good for the dogs. And so I thought if I put it here, and that way it's going to be exhausted straight out from underneath. So now I'm just going to fill in the around the holes with some heat resistant silicone, so it'll stop any leaks, it'll stop the pipes from moving and getting chafed and that. There you go, I just run a quick bead around that and it'll stop any gases going back in, and all that is let me see, no nonsense fire retardant silicone. So finally the tank's arrived. So this one is going to be for the diesel heater, so as you can see it fits in a cubbyhole nicely, better than the one they supply, but it is smaller, it's 5.5 litres rather than 10, but it'll do me enough. So it goes from the tank to the filter, and then the filter to the pump, and that pump has to stay 15 to 35 degrees I think it is, and where the connection is, that always faces uphill. That hole you see there with the wire going through, that's just the electrics for the control panel, which is there. So he's wired up. So now all I've got to do is go in the town and get some fuel tomorrow on my way home from work, fill the tank up and prime it and see what happens. So I've just got the heater priming up. Basically to do that you just got to hold these two buttons down on the bottom here until it says H off, sorry. Then press the top button, which goes to H on, and there, that's the pump clicking, and it's pulling the fuel through quite nicely through the filter. Okay, so that's the pump primed, and it all went quiet, so I press the power button, and now the heater started up. You can see it's whirring in there. You probably can't hear it very well. It's real quiet though. Sound. Oh, she's sped up a bit now. God, and there's some heat coming out. Tidy. Okay, so I've just been flicking through this. Right now, that's the voltage. That's errors. There's no errors. That's the time. And that's the air temperature now. So if I want to, let's put it on that one. If I want to change that to the temperature that I want to set it at, press those two. That turns the temperature. Press it again. I think that's the power usage. So like the speed of the fan and that. So I can change that higher or lower. I don't want it too hot because I don't want the dogs cooking in here. So I put it at 17. So there, it must have reached its temperature because now it's... The old girl has calmed right down. So now I guess it'll just maintain that temperature that I set. Perfect. Alright, so my heater came with a snazzy little remote control, but I couldn't figure out how to get it to work. So I found that if you hold this button in for about 4 seconds, it comes up with HEA, then a flashing line, and then if you just press the on button, it calibrates the remote to the control panel. So now I can turn it on by this, and it'll fire up, and I can turn it off. Magic. So we are, that's the install finished. So if you found this at all useful or helpful, please like and subscribe and support the channel. It'd be very much appreciated. Cheers.